Hi, I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make split pea and ham soup. Gluten-free, of course, although it's naturally gluten-free to begin with. I've got some of my vegetables already kind of ready. I've peeled my carrots, and then I've got some celery, potatoes, and onion, garlic, my spices, and then of course my peas. And these are split peas, and they're green, but you could use yellow peas for this recipe or a combination of both. And you want to make sure that they are split peas. You could make this recipe with whole peas, but they take a lot longer to cook. And if you're cooking everything at the same time, all of your other things will be mush before your peas are done. I know because I've done it before. And then if you think that the peas are done and they're not, then you kind of have a crunchy soup. It's not very good. So always use split peas. It just works out better that way. And I've been making this recipe for years and years and years. It's kind of my mom's recipe, which isn't really a recipe. It's like any soup where you just throw in whatever you've got or whatever you like. Although the main ingredients are the ham and the peas. And then right here I've got just over 8 cups of my turkey stock. When I made my turkey for Thanksgiving, I made stock. And so I've got that here, and I may or may not add a little bit more water. This is 1 pound of split peas. So for that much, it's about 2 cups of split peas. You want 6 to 8 cups of water or stock. But I do have other vegetables here that will be soaking up more liquid, so I'll probably add in closer to 10 cups. So I'll just top this off with water once I get it in my pan. And I know there's a lot of pea soup recipes that don't use potatoes, but we've always put potatoes in our split pea soup. It really helps to bulk it up a little bit, and then you can feed more people, or just make it last longer. And then I do have a ham bone over here. I've recently cooked a ham for Christmas, and so this is what I like to do, is make my split pea and ham soup. So I do have the bone and quite a bit of ham still on the bone. And I'll trim all the meat off and then cut it up so we can have that floating in the soup. And then, of course, the bone will add a lot of extra flavor. And then I've got a bowl here to put my vegetables. I'm just going to start cutting up my carrots, my celery, my onions. Those will cook first before we add in the potatoes. And then the garlic as well. But while those are cooking, I can get my potatoes cut up. And you don't have to peel your potatoes. I'm not going to. But you can peel them if you want to. And then I'm going about bite-sized pieces on my carrots, celery, onions I usually go smallish anyways. And then the potatoes I will go pretty small bite-sized pieces for the potatoes as well. I've mentioned before, whenever I'm making a soup or a stew, I always like for everything to fit on a spoon and make it easier to eat. And then if you try to get them all fairly the same-ish size, of course none of this will be the size of the peas, but then they all kind of cook at the same time. So I'm just going to continue on with my carrots, onion, and celery, and then I'll actually probably do the ham next, just to have that ready. So I've cut up probably about 6 carrots. They were kind of on the small side, kind of maybe some were medium, but mostly small. And then about the same amount of celery, which my celery stalks were really kind of small too. But like with so many different soups like this, it is all to your taste. If there's a vegetable that you want to go in here, put it in. That was a strong onion. Whoop. Dropping my garlic. And I've got 3 pretty good sized garlic cloves here. Again, this is to taste. Whatever you like to go in soup. And for that matter, if you want a different kind of potato, I've just got brown russet potatoes. But you could use a Yukon Gold potato. You could use red potatoes, whatever you like. So there's all of my garlic. Got that cut up. And if you get a ham that is a spiral ham that's already kind of cooked, I've always noticed that with the ham, usually this top portion here isn't cut in the spiral. And so that's usually what I take and I will cut into chunks. But I do have quite a bit of meat left on here that I can also cut into chunks. And I don't mind if there's a little bit of fat, but I try to cut off really big chunks of fat. And while I do like to have chunks of ham in my soup, but I do like to leave a little bit on the bone, just adds really good flavor. And I'm kind of eyeballing, maybe 3 to 4 cups of ham. We'll see. I might only end up with 2. It just kind of depends how much is left here on the bone. And of course, this is also the type of soup that once it's all fully cooked, you could mash it with a potato masher. The ham won't really mash down, but you could still mash all of the vegetables. Or you could put it all in a blender. Or if you have one of those little hand mixers, I forget what they're called, an immersion blender, you could use one of those and have a really smooth pureed ham and pea soup. So I ended up with about 3 cups of ham. 3 to 4 cups will usually work, and for that matter, you could even use less ham and use more vegetables if you wanted to. So in my large stock pot here, I'm going to turn this on about medium-high, and then I've got my onions, carrots, and celery. I'm just going to bring everything a little bit closer. My garlic, my ham and peas. I do have 1 teaspoon each of salt and pepper. This is to taste. If you don't want extra salt, don't put it in. If you like more, put it in. And then I've got 2 bay leaves, and then I've got 1 teaspoon of thyme and a 1/4 teaspoon of marjoram. Again, this is to taste. If you like a different spice to go with ham and potatoes and peas, use that. I just really like this. It's kind of a simple combination of spices. So I've got about 2 tablespoons of bacon grease in here. You could use olive oil, whatever you like. Once that's hot, I'm going to add in my onions, carrots, and celery, and a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't normally put the lid on when I'm sauteing, but I want you to be able to hear me. It's very loud. While my vegetables are sauteing, I'm going to get my potatoes cut up, and then I can put them right back in the same bowl. And then we'll add in our garlic as soon as my onions are kind of translucent and a little bit softened. And same thing with my potatoes. Smallish, bite-sized pieces. Once your carrots, onions, and celery look like this, add in your garlic. If you were like me and you got a little distracted cutting up your potatoes, your carrots, onions, and celery got a little bit more color on them than you wanted, but that's okay. It actually smells really good, and I think it will add a lot of extra flavor. That's what happens in the kitchen when you get distracted. Now we can stir in our potatoes, our ham, our peas, and the rest of my salt and pepper, the thyme, and the marjoram. And give all of this a really good stir. Now for my 8 cups of turkey stock. If you've ever made homemade turkey stock before, you'll know that it's kind of like jelly. And my 2 bay leaves. Once you've got this all stirred together, I'm going to nestle in my ham bone. Very carefully. It is hot. And I am going to add in about a cup of extra water. And then I like to kind of stir it around, make sure that everything is getting submerged. Once you get the ham bone in there, it is a little more challenging to stir everything around. But I always like to use the same container that I had my turkey stock in to add in a little bit of extra water, and that gets whatever flavor is left in there. So I do have 1 extra cup of water here, and I'll use this if I feel like my soup is a little bit too thick. And now that this is up to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer and then put the lid on most of the way. I do want a little bit of venting here. Once your peas are tender, you don't want them to be firm and crunchy. All of your other vegetables should be cooked. Turn off the heat. I'm going to very carefully remove my ham bone. Remove your bay leaves. And it's ready to serve. And I didn't have to add any extra water. So let's give it a bite. It's really hot. One of the things I really like about this soup is it does get thicker just on its own, but your vegetables still maintain their shape, so you can see that they're in there. It is so good. If you've never made a split pea soup before, it really is delicious. They really get soft and creamy, and they have great flavor. This soup would go great with my saltine crackers, my Ritz crackers, my chicken and a biscuit crackers. All of those are here on my channel, or even a grilled cheese sandwich. Let me know what you think if you make this recipe. It really is so delicious in the wintertime. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.